So what do we have here today, guys? What we're looking at is my wife's 2000 and I believe it's an 18 RAV4, and believe it or not, this thing's only got 20,000 miles on it. And my wife doesn't believe that they're doing the oil changes, so she's got me doing them. And very different. Wow. Looks like it now has a little dent in the roof. This is the first one I've noticed. I don't know if the camera's picking it up, but it looks like either a tree branch or hail or something bounced off this car. Huh. They never stay new forever. Okay, so what have I learned? Last time I broke the oil filter cap. So I'm going to take a different approach this time. I don't know if anybody watched that last video or not. Really doesn't matter. Alright, so we got the wheel off. And I'm going to set you where I hope you can see what I'm doing. Half the time I'll probably be blocking the camera angle, but I promise I will bring you back in close to see anything important. What we've got here is a bunch of these little damn tab things. You got to pull them up and get them out. Don't lose them. Okay, I can set them right there. Same thing down here. Little tab. I'm free. Who's your daddy now, bitch? Right? Who's your daddy now? Okay, let me bring you in for a close-up and we're going to talk about what you got here. Let me unhook you from the stand here. All right, there we go. Okay. Get the stand out of the way. Now, this is what nobody will show you or tell you about. The first thing you've got to do is you got to pull this little locking tab off. You might not be able to see it in there, but I'm draining the oil. And it looks pretty black, but it's been 6 months. We're going to do it twice. Well, I hope you can see what I'm doing, because I don't really know what I'm doing. So, we line the oil bucket under the filter. Then it just hand turns out nice and smooth. There's no cross threads. Oh hell yeah, I'd much rather have this mess that I just dropped than all the struggle I made with trying to use that stupid little pre-drain filter crap. That was 10 times easier, guys. 10 times easier. So, it's going to be kind of hard for me to turn the camera and see what I'm doing, so we'll just have to hope for the best. I got greasy hands. Trash. The big O-ring's good. The small O-ring is for the plug that you're not using. So, pull out your filter. Make sure it looks the same, looks good. Pour out your excess bad oil. Check inside, everything seems good. I don't see any metal parts or anything. Double check that your filters are the same size, which they are. And Bob's your uncle. And you can still feel the spring in your whatever it is, safety release valve. Now, O-ring comes off. New O-ring goes on. Do it while you have greasy fingers, you'll be happier. Or oily fingers, whatever you want to call it. Okay, now, roll this thing on into the groove, not all the way down. And the actual box tells you the correct and the wrong of it. So, read the instructions. If you screw it up, it ain't me. Okay, I got it in the new spot. That's pretty. Filters in. Let me get this out of the way. Oop, I did a bad thing there. Doesn't matter. Drag that stuff out of the way. I believe this was just so much easier than trying to do this drain plug and the little one on the bottom. And see, you don't need to change that because you never broke that seal. So one less hassle. Now I'm just going back here and I'm going to hand screw it back in place. And just double check, yeah, that's screwed nice. O-rings in the spot. All my sealing surfaces feel clean, mateable. When you're working in the yard, you never know when you'll get dirt on anything. All right, now at this point, I'm going to get rid of my dirty oil. I'm going to clean up everything as best I can with a rag, and then I'll do my tightening with cleaner hands and the rest of the job. I think my camera just screwed up. Anyways, I've just got done refilling, or I should say re-screwing in the oil filter, replacing the safety tab. The only way to do it was just take these big old channel locks and just kind of walk it up in, with my hand also helping it. Be gentle. Your next step is going to be just reinstall this plastic panel, pop on the tire, and refill it with oil. Okay, I'm getting ready to refill this thing with oil. I like oil and filter every 3,000 to 5,000 miles, twice a year if you're not driving that much. The kind of oil your car used, nowadays it's always printed on the oil cap. So, you know, very simple. What do I need? But it's also in your owner's manual and a lot of other places. So, buy what they call for. And the other thing I'm going to tell you is don't overfill. That's just not nice. If you start overfilling your motor, that's worse or as bad as running no or low oil. So I'm running 0 W20, and this just happens to be full synthetic, which they like, but if you're doing a 3,000 to 5,000 mile oil change, regular oil will work just fine for you. You're burning it up so fast, or you know, going through it so fast, it makes no difference. This is, I'm going to top off with Super Tech. But let's take a second here and see what the leftover of that box did for us, if it's even on the dipstick. Also, I like to fill it low, start it up, run it, park it at a level spot, and then, you know, do a top off. Doesn't even read on the dipstick yet. So take your time when filling, because overfilling just means you have to drain stuff out. Be careful of these extra plastic rings, especially on the smaller bottles. Those things get in your motor, you're screwed. Same with the paper plastic that comes from the top. Peel it all away. If it wants to be flappy, rip it off. Okay, now I'm just going to give it a little splash at a time. I'm also still with 0W20 synthetic. That might be enough to get me on the dipstick, which is all I'm trying to do right now, is show up in the middle of the dipstick. I think it's just barely starting to show. And these little motors don't take much oil. Okay, here we go. It's come back on the dipstick, and it's now about a quarter, in the quarter range. I bet you it went over to that oil filter and filled that up a little bit on the last splash. Okay, that might be close enough to take it off the block and let it park on flat ground. Oh, another splash. I want to be like halfway. That's a good spot to be in when you do your first start. And okay, I'm sure I've got enough oil in this thing now that I'm not going to burn up a motor. And when you're retightening things, don't force them. If it doesn't line up, you've probably made a mistake. Anybody who stayed this long in the video, I'm impressed. All right. We back this thing up and do a check of the oil. And again, before you back it up, check underneath. Make sure you removed all your jack stands and any other good items that might be laying on the ground. And the last thing I'm going to do under the hood is top off the washer fluid. Don't be stupid and mix up your fluids. You know, if you don't know what you're doing, don't play around. Watch a video and then play around. Now she got plenty of washer fluid. Radiator level looks good. Brake fluid level looks okay. I don't see a transmission dipstick, so my guess would be this is probably one of those sealed transmissions. There you go, that's an oil change. I also, at the same time, I did check the air filter. It's nice and clean. Blew out the dust. This puppy's ready for another winter.